the Mason-Dixon Record Advertiser. It's my made-up hometown newspaper. This is an article entitled, Damn Good Chips, No Match for Ill-Starred Name. Dateline, Liberty Mills, Pennsylvania. The proprietor of one small potato chip company based in York County, Pennsylvania, is a man who prides himself on continuing his family tradition. My great-grandfather came to America in 1856, says Joseph Hitler Sr., and my grandfather built this factory with his own hands. Hitler's brand potato chips, which employs 23 people, and it has in its small plant in Liberty Mills, has been an area tradition for over 100 years, through 5 generations of Hitlers. Son Joseph Jr. is plant manager. Over 90% of the income generated by the family business comes from a subcontract the small firm has with the larger Schuyler's Snack Court, located in nearby York Township. Hitler admits that his company has been laboring under difficulties in recent decades, including the negative connotations which Hitler insists have been unfairly associated with his family name. In 1932, we were the 5th largest potato snack producer in the state, with distributions to Maryland, Virginia, New Jersey, and Delaware. Sometime afterwards, the network began to fall apart. Our truckers reported stores sending back orders. My dad said it was just a sign of the times, that it would all turn around again. Hitler cemented a relationship with Schuyler's in 1958 after his father's retirement. He estimates the chips marketed under the Hitler label, available at county stores and from the factory outlet in Liberty Mills, account for $5,000 of sales annually. There's still a lot of people who will make the drive up on Sunday to take a tour of the plant and come home with a big tin of Hitler brand potato chips. Liberty Mills was incorporated in 1848 as German Mills, Pennsylvania. Its citizens voted to change its name in 1917 in response to international events. There was this anti-German prejudice way back then, Mr. Hitler said. My father was only alderman to protest the change. I don't think you can go around changing who you are to suit the mob. Why do they always pick on the little guy? No one told John Lennon or Groucho Marx to change their name. Jesse Hiller, Hitler's younger brother, says he felt differently. I told him there's only so much fight you can put up. We're just normal folks from York County. We ain't got nothing to do with the Third Reich. But maybe people aren't going to consider that. I mean, if you're hankering for some potato chips and you look on the shelf and see Schuyler's, which is a nice ordinary name, and Hitler's, which is the name of a fascist dictator, which one would you choose? Mr. Hiller legally changed his name in 1956 when he was 18 years old. He is the owner of Hiller's Tractor Repair and authorized Long Boy Service Center in York Township. Mr. Hiller retains a 1/4 ownership of Hitler brand potato chips, along with Mr. Hitler and their 2 sisters, Mrs. Leonard Ross of York and Virginia Hiller of Parkton, Maryland. Mr. Hitler's youngest son, David Hiller, a business student at Franklin and Marshall College, seconded his uncle's opinion. I think it's a kind of child abuse, he stated in the telephone conversation. My father is a sick man. I think the state should have taken me away from him. What kind of parent sends his kid off to kindergarten with the name Hitler? The large sign, which had long graced the facade of the Liberty Mills factory, now rests inside the outlet store, Hitler avers. Local law enforcement officials advised him to remove it after a series of suspicious fires. The old sign, familiar to most long-term residents, read, "Farm fresh quality since 1886, Hitler's brand potato chips." An illuminated sign on the exterior now reads simply, "Chips." Hitler was the president of the Liberty Mills Rotary Club from 1961 to 1962. He was a good president, says Lawrence Buddy Eisner, owner of Eisner Motors and Rotary Club president emeritus. But the name thing was a constant problem. Joe fought in World War II. It's not a question of patriotism. Hitler was asked to resign from the Rotary Club in 1963. I guess you would say it came down to judgment, Eisner says. We just thought keeping that name showed a lack of good sense. It was keeping new members out. All I know, Hitler said, proudly cleaning some dust off the antique sign which now hangs in his outlet stores, is we make damn good chips. And now I would like to present to you Mr. David Levinson, all the way from Brooklyn, New York. Oh my God!
Yeah. Thanks to Tom of Finland for this, who couldn't be here tonight. Will Here, he designed my Shit Lover t-shirt. So, okay, I'm gonna read 2 stories. The first one is called Birthright. Birthright is an anti-abortion organization based in North America with no religious affiliation whatsoever. This story is called Birthright. It's about mystery and memory and childhood and the emotional murder thereof. My friends. We were outside doing drugs, which is so cool. I melted my tiny feet off. I confessed my dad as an amnesiac to all my friends whose ritualistic lifestyles were administered to them like the duties of priests, child molesting everyone's little brother when they think he's at choir practice or some shit. I question what I'm really evolving to sometimes. Here is a description of all my friends. Pony girl, because her hair is so long and thin like a pony, and blonde too. Sometimes I think she's just some hippie that the 60s abandoned. Go to your fucking protests, okay? Pussy boy. I swear he was a gay, but we hung out with him anyway because we couldn't prove it, and neither could he for that matter. On Tuesdays, he would go and get lost in certain bottles of illusionary relapses, almost drowned once. The sex of Charles Baudelaire pulled him up out of that octopus, that daze. Wrap itself around your body. Can you protect me, please? We're all scared, and I think he had a pussy. A big one, too. Tanya T. She gave such good head behind the dumpsters at school and would run around telling people how much of a dominatrix she wanted to be when she turned 18 and the place would let her, and get a tattoo, too. Bad romance novels fart. Had this obsession with all the cultural icons the cults had made us collectively worship in that delicate time, right after adolescence, when all of us tried so hard not to fuck, bringing us freaks. We try to get along with the fucker I'm standing next to, none of whom had something in common with. Angel Fire. A meaningless whore with red hair, between her legs even. Abused by her dad, I think. And then there was me. So in drag, I don't recognize myself half of the time, but that's okay. There's no external world, and none of us knew who the fuck we were anyway. But we were doing drugs, which is so cool. You're a 70-year-old child playing in forests of wind. Time is deathless. As children, they had been found abandoned on the edge of a creek that seemed to have spit them out in all its coldness and misery. They wouldn't have survived for long as muscleless babies just laying there, strung out like heroin addicts in blankets. But the lions came along and decided to save them instead of doing what they normally do, which is eat their human skulls for breakfast in the morning. The children grow up being saved as lions, but they're still human beings. But the erasure is all gone, and they think they're lions. And they're treated like lions. Ageless time matters. Hair on these children so long it's swept down past the knees that only trap us. The prince, the father, would sit in the middle of them in the darkness of the cave at night with all his contemplative lives. No one really trusted him too much, but he did shield off and accept a bullet in his growl when the anthropologists came in their attempts to fuck with the naked feral children. Anthropologists study human cultures. But these children were no longer human, and there is no such thing as culture. They belong to the lion family, the family of lions, and their teeth knew the language which they used to rip into pieces of flesh that kept them hairy and surviving. My family believed in God when I was growing up because it had nothing else to do. Then I hit puberty, and my way of rebellion was to read Nietzsche and say, "Fuck you, God." My parents were quite amused I was a radical hippie. Straighten up or we'll send you to Catholic school. My friends and I are running through the streets, dancing, smoking cigarettes in the rain. Pony Girl doesn't inhale, I heard, but neither do I. I'm so thirsty I could drink the piss of the Virgin, but I don't. I sit there whistling. And my neighborhood confines me, like a good Catholic juvenile delinquent. Somebody's off getting killed in the distance, but this rain protects me somehow, and the streets are familiar. They tell me it's okay to be fucked up here. So I am, and it's cool. Angel Fire comes over and sits on my lap, telling me how to blow smoke rings. It's times like these when I smell the rain and I look up at the boring sky and I think I see the gods running around up there. They just play all day and don't make decisions. It's then that I realize that it's not that I lost my religion. It's just that I never had no religion to begin with, so I invent my own in order to stay alive and continue smoking my cigarettes in the rain. Sitting intently on my own hands clasped together at knees. Mama's in the kitchen singing the reality song. My mom's always been fat and has irregular periods. One day she went to go take a shit and looked down and saw me in the toilet. She never knew she was pregnant. The thing is I forget. I forgot. Maybe it's all the excess, the drugs, memories, important items lost. I wake up in the middle of the night, I exit the cave, and I'm warm in my nakedness. My claws and my hair keep me safe. Tanya T is off sleeping with another boy. Angel Fire is getting set on fire. They're trying to remember. I'm really struggling to forget. This is what I deal with. The charms of my childhood, the gods I worshipped as friends in place of parents, seemingly non-existent. The me I am today is no longer that feral, just a soliloquy of cells disenchanted by the memorial mannequin of what was. I'm trying to figure out which one of the worlds I belong to. Memory is a series of tinted screens. I'm always choosing different colors to put over the shaft of brain cells. Perhaps my real friends were these wild, nameless beings. Perhaps I'm a hybrid of two worlds. Drugged up juvenile delinquency with my parents who never gave a fuck, and wild, feral chaos. What's the difference? My boyfriend won't fuck because he got molested as a child. The children are wilder and hairier than ever now, being groomed by animal mom and dad. This is the contemporary me, not the me I once was. The boy child is out in the night and he looks up at the moon and howls at it, seeing the reflection of all the big cities in it, looking into a mirror of things he'll never be a part of. And the anthropologists can't find him right now. They've given up on their search. For a child to be a lion just means your brains are better bred for dying. None of this pain or transcendence shit. It all becomes so physical and it's a human that doesn't know no probing. The brains are shaped like meatball love. You could go fuck or get stabbed by radios of teeth and it won't really matter. That's what being feral is all about. Seeming lack of escapism. Travel your own end of the forest. Fuck God. I don't remember how old I was when Pussy Boy decided we'd become anarchists. He explained what anarchy was to me, and in that moment, I fell in love with him harder than I ever had before. I don't think I knew it at the time. I was too busy in my obsessions with real pussy. I wanted him, he wanted me too. So we became anarchists, and wouldn't let any of the girls join the club. We went around destroying the foundations in our neighborhood that all the builders wanted to build on. The foundations we ruined never came back. I go home to try and see them sometimes. All I see are footprints in the sand. They're Pussy Boy's footprints, and I wonder how he's doing in a house on a hill. The lions only hunt at night. They go out into the woods with all those fangs they developed as survival mechanisms. Actually, the lions stayed in their cave and sent the children out to go hunting for them. They were lazy and old, as most parents are. Meat. Raw flesh. It's never rotting. The children began to own the forest. What mom and dad said didn't matter. They could growl and be rebellious all they wanted. They hunted and they haunted, and this nighttime was theirs. The other animals living in this forest were so scared of these murderers. No respect for other animals, just did what they wanted. Their bodies were mapped out by that species of pain. I think a couple of things are innate. See, they were lions, but they followed a couple of those non-lion evolved human being impulses, which made them look and seem weird. At night, when all the squirrels were put away, sleeping and fucking in their dens, they'd go hunting for the flesh of a mortal. They were They're their own murderers, and the taste of blood is all metallic and dirted up. One thing I'm able to remember is the loss of virginity. I was 15 years old, and Tanya T. had said she loved me. We were eating a picnic in Feral Forest when our bodies introduced themselves to each other. I think several selves became one self. I entered her. She says my name softly, and I don't understand her. We don't speak a language because we're hideous monsters. I am longing to transcend you. I fucked on a rock in the woods with a girl. This is my first time. Surrounded by children, lion children, watching, sniffing my cum-filled wrapper when done to get some new curiosity. We are those children, animals we don't understand. At night, sleep doesn't see through our troubles. Our eyes are glazed with tears as we stare outside of our windows. The moon is the only thing we understand. I finally gave in to those anarchist cravings I sifted through for an entire season. I sucked Pussy Boy's dick one night in the cool air, in the forest not too far from the rock I lost my virginity on. A week later, he went back to the forest and shot himself in the head. It's funny that all these ferals were such a part of my youth and I didn't even realize it. More so than all the fuck-ups posing as friends, the children were following me around, some sort of extension. They're fucking alive inside of me. I never met them. There are no connections. This is an external world with clear skies and space and dirt and forests with tractors riding by. My friends give them the finger. We bob up and down on a creek of rain. Rocks torment us. I think I heard a leaf say my name, but I forgot which one it was. So I stopped and I listened. I'm growing up in a place where the skies are so clear you can look up and see for yourself that there isn't a heaven. Through all the rain, the smoke, the violence. I'm going to do one more that's short. Sorry, that was a little longer than I expected. This is called The Fucker Beside Me. I'm sorry. I didn't know I would crash your whole world by sitting next to you. My intentions are the most innocent ones existing on this planet. Everyone I've ever given my number out to has been my bestest friend. I include you in this goddamn category. I am so beside myself right now with this angst, I am composing improvised jazz riffs on the planet of sound. It gets to a point where I can't separate myself from yourself, and the world is an endless array of colliding cells. Our self is so important. Maybe when we're fucking, I can fantasize about Froggy's identity crisis and invent my own language of grunts to signify some significance, us existing. When I call you, you get such an attitude with me on the phone. You accuse me of stalking you even though I've never talked to you in my life. I wonder if you're confusing me with someone else. I'm not your ex-lover, faggot. Lick my boot. You're nothing but a stupid collage of ideas and random thoughts. I could be you so easily if only I would take the time. But I won't because I have better things to do, like sit beside you and create a hurricane of chaos like this life means anything. If I decide to get violent, I will tear your genitals off with my novelty vampire things I bought from the lesbian filmmaker in the Halloween costume shop on 5th Avenue, which is located in between the mosque and United We Stand. United we sit, and my presence harasses you. You're so sensitive. Go to hell. Yeah, that was one sentence. This is the way to do it, I think, is I kill you by sending your ass fan mail, which your albino secretary throws out before even existing. I don't care that I'm ludicrous and I have no hope in my hatred of your ass. The best forms of literature all have characters, but I have beat you up in a literary fashion by writing you out of my life. Now there is nothing but a single self. It can be me, it can be you. It is the both of us put together in one, because I realize this can never happen in real life. And since I can't even sit down next to you anymore without you screaming the shit out of day life, I will forge some closure into my mania. Today I begin forgetting about our existence for the first time in my life since I ineffectually erased it all from my book of dreams. I am not brave enough to offer the simplest of texts. I plagiarize when I see my face in the mirror. I can hear you masturbating in the other room. Flush your cum stains down the toilet. Have a nice day. Look, babe, your story is my story. We write our schizophrenia together and collaborate on the most disjointed novella. I call you on the telephone. Your new lover tells me you're not there. You're just underneath him with a cock in your mouth. I know the reality of most situations, telling me to fuck off when I sit down beside you. The most innocent act there is. You are my neurosis. So I will kill you, self. I will punish your being by destroying it. I am tearing the eyeballs out of their sockets and selling them on subway trains to homeless men in exchange for new beginnings. I am destroyed by joining you, loving you. I don't remember the worth of things anymore. Perhaps your ghost can aid me in the quest of self-solidarity. Your stupid criticisms are cheaper than your system. You are void of all importance, and my goal is for it all to quit fucking symbolizing. I could blow up your ideology, but I fist fuck you instead. You are sitting next to me. You are trying to speak to me. You call me on the telephone and I laugh in your ugly face, which no one can see. But I know, okay? I know. Sirens are wooing in the real world, and you go on in life accomplishing nothing. The creation of false prefixes rots out the plenitude of all language. And my relation to you always is my body next to your mind on a bench in the cold, but we don't acknowledge. We're always looking straight forward through our tunnel vision, through our lives. I love all that I've created. I love all that I've destroyed. I'll never call you again, you fuck, okay? Because I don't need your lunacy no more. I took the first step in ridding myself of myself. I bought a dildo, which is more intellectually stimulating than the fucker beside me. I found myself beside myself. Thank you.
Is the break being called for? 30 seconds. 30 second break.